Are you the landlord or do you want to be the landlord? Do you know there are top 8 mistakes that you should avoid making to make more money? Stay tuned. Hello there, this is Acharya from Luxury Real Estate, helping you to do the smart move here in Florida. If you want to know what's living, eating, enjoying or vacationing in Florida, or want to know about the buying, selling or investing in real estate, then you are at the right place. So please don't forget to subscribe the channel and hit the bell button so that you get to notified each and every video what we put on this channel. Number 1 is exaggerating the rent rates. So many times when any investor buy the property, if they don't know the market very well, they try to put the rent rates with the over expectations. Remember, you have in control is the purchase power, but you do not have in control the rent rates, because rent rates are based on the comparable of that market at that time. So it may be different for 1 year ago, or it may be different the 2 years ago, or even 6 months ago. You need to know what is exactly the rent amount currently at this moment when you're buying a property. So many times, I have seen people making that mistake, and their ROI, which is a return of investment game plan, goes wrong. So whenever I buy a property for my investor as a real estate agent, number 1 thing I always make sure is I play with the conservative numbers, especially in the rent, because that's something you cannot control. That's controlled by the market. Number 2 is not able to decide which property they should buy. In other words, I can say is they don't know where to get the deal. So many times people think about the deals are only with the bank, because bank has the foreclosures, bank has the short sale, but that's not actually true. Right now the banks are more smarter, so you may not find the deal only with the bank. You need to know where exactly you can find the deal. I'm going to create another video where I will explain in detail where exactly you can go for the deals. So there are many other ways you can find the deal, where you find the distressed property, or maybe you find the motivated seller. But you need to have the proper approach when you are buying a property. As I said before, you have in control is the purchase power. If you find the property in deal, then only you can make the highest ROI. Number 3 mistake I have seen, it's like not a mistake, but it's actually mindset problem. It's like being emotional. So when you're buying a property for yourself, it's completely different. When you are buying a property for the investment purpose, it's completely different. One thing, it's a rule of thumb for the real estate, is a numbers game. Real estate is a numbers game. So if your deal is making sense, then only you should buy. So think as a businessman, think as an investor, don't think as a homeowner, because when you are buying a property, you always see the area, location, there are like the layout, and there are many other criteria you put in your list, because that's something you are going to live there. But you are not going to live there. This is here as the purchase, rehab. Rehab means you're repairing the property. That word we use is a rehab, and you rent because it's a buy and hold, so you check out the rent. So if the number is making sense, then you should buy the property. You don't be an emotional fool when you're buying a property. Number 4 is do smart maintenance. So as we know, like of course the deals are where there is a distressed property. Distressed property means where you need repairs. If the property is remodeled, of course it's common sense, there is a lot of competition, there are so many buyers will be putting in offers, so it's a very less chance for you to get the property in a lower market value. So when you buy a property which needs the repair, you need to smartly think where actually you are going to get your money back. Sometimes it doesn't make sense to do the repairs because it's a rental. Many times, many investors I've seen not putting a single penny in the investment property, thinking that it's going to be used by somebody else, and they are going to do the usual wear and tear will be more because it's a rental property, it's a tenant living there. But remember, this is your buy and hold. This is not the flip property. So you need to be very smart when you're putting in money. Many times you need to do the repairs to prevent the future problem, not just to cure current problems. So let's say about the plumbing. If the property is like 30 years old, of course the plumbing is old. Of course, if the AC is original, then it's going to go away, in few years. And that's going to bring up very high your electric bill if as a landlord, if you are paying. Or if the plumbing is bad, then it may cause the leak issues, or sometimes I've seen even a flooding issues because the tenant is not at home and it started flooded, and it can give you the way high expense than you even imagine, and plus the headache. So make sure you always do the smart repairs. So sometimes you do have to do the repairs in a preventive measures where it's going to stay long term good, and you don't have to go through all the headaches as a landlord. Number 5 is not taking quick actions or ignoring the issue. Many times I've seen when tenant doesn't pay a 1 month rent, second month rent, you send a notice, but then maybe you are busy at your full-time job, or maybe you are not paying attention, and you think you are giving the emotional touch again to the tenant that you know them since long time, so it's okay if they miss the 1 month. No, that's not right. You need to be in action. If you see the pattern of not paying the rent, remember, if you start the eviction process, it's not going to be tomorrow. So it's going to be another few months because the tenant has the rights to fight back too. So that's number 1 thing. You need to take action if you see any fishy, or if you see a pattern, like tenant not maintaining the property, or tenant is not paying you the rent, then you should take the action right away. Another thing, major problem I've seen is ignoring the repair issues. Sometimes tenant does some request and the landlord ignores. It's just not ignored, but you're busy at your work and you don't have a time to call your contractor or your handyman to do the service, and the problem is not that huge enough that tenant comes back to you repeatedly, and sometimes some tenant don't care, they just keep living as is in the property. So in that case, I had one client, they had a small leak issue in the bathroom, and that led to the big problem like a mold, in that one, not only in the bathroom but also in the subsequent rooms. So it was like huge problem for him to resolve, and the more headache you are inviting if you are not doing the repairs right. Number 7 is not screening the tenant thoroughly, or not screening the tenant oftenly. Okay, many times, that's very normal practice that we screen the tenant when they come in the unit, and we check the background check, the credit report, we try to get their history, what exactly things wrong or right with that particular tenant. You take the decision based on that. But don't forget, if you're renewing the lease, then you should screen them oftenly, because you never know like what happened in a 6 months with the tenant. You never know what's happening the next month to the tenant if you haven't screened them oftenly. So that's something many times the landlord misses. If you know tenant personally, that's a little bit different. But if you don't know tenant personally, if you're not in direct touch with the tenant, then you should screen them oftenly, especially the seasonal investors. Number 8 is doing everything by yourself. Of course, if you're an investor, you want to make money, and you don't like to give to handyman, you don't like to give the property manager who is maintaining the property, or you don't like to give to the contractor. And sometimes, many times, we do things by our own. That, if you think that takes out your lots of time, that takes out your lots of energy, sometimes you even pay more while you're doing by your own, and also you are wasting your own time from your current job. So always, if you are a business person, then you need to take the leverage of the people who is doing that job full time. So if you hire the property manager or the real estate company who is managing that property, then you don't have to spend a single second behind the tenant once the tenant is in the unit. You should focus on the purchasing, or you should focus on your own income generation. Success of real estate is in the leverage. So if you find the process of getting things in automation, then you can get the multiple units in a shorter time frame. So if you are a landlord, and if you want to be a landlord, we help the landlord to buy the deals from the market, on market or off market, and get you the best ROI. If you want to know more about the information about the investment, or you have any of the question about the real estate buy and hold, or even the flipping the properties, you can always leave below in the comment, or you can message me personally on this number, or you can email me. Thank you for watching this video. So I'm going to see you in my next video for more tips. Until then, stay safe.